move on to the next segment. Swinny, you wanted to cover the other announcement in Square Enix presentation.
Yeah, so it was kind of rumored just before the event. I think Jason Schreier tweeted something out that the Square Enix was looking to put together like a remaster of the first 6 Final Fantasy games. So what they revealed was pixel remaster versions of those first 6 games. So to be clear, this is not a collection. You know, you don't purchase them all at once. They're sold separately. And they're only coming to PC, Steam, and mobile.
What a troll. I love it.
I know. And I want to get, like, let's get that part out of the way first. Obviously, it completely sucks it's not coming to PlayStation. And, so, like, I honestly wouldn't have...
Switch.
Well, yeah, so I was about to get to that. It's like PlayStation is the one that's like, freaking, that makes the most sense. Switch obviously makes a huge amount of sense. It even makes sense to put it on Xbox. And maybe they will eventually, but it's just like such a downer to go through. Everyone's like, you see those reactions and it's like, oh, and then they notice the mobile Steam. It's like, But anyway, what I actually wanted to talk about is the fact that they didn't really explain what the hell this is. Because, I mean, we've seen these games be re-released countless times and be, you know, have upgraded versions on Game Boy Advance and PSP. We've had 3D versions of Final Fantasy 3 and 4 on the 3DS, and those were also ported to mobile. And they just really gave you no indication at all. They're just like pixel remasters, and they showed a couple of brief clips of gameplay and some logos, and that's all they said. But some awesome people out there have actually delved deep into what the footage they did show and kind of given us more of an indication of what this stuff might be. And it's actually probably more than most people might think. So it seems like these remasters are being redrawn, or the assets are being remade, like from the ground up.
The pixels are being redrawn.
The pixels are being redrawn,
really?
The maps, the battle scenario, like backgrounds, all this stuff seems to be new, or most of what we've seen is new. And there's 2 specific people I want to give credit to here. So RPGsite.net, and there's a Twitter user out called KillThad, and he's quoted in that RPGsite.net article, where they basically analysed the sprite assets from the trailer. And they found that of the ones they could see, most of them haven't been used in previous Final Fantasy games, but they're actually closest to sprite artwork that was included in a art book called Final Fantasy Art Book, with slight alterations. And in that book, they're labelled as 2018 versions next to the original sprite art. So it's really... to me, like, why would, even if you don't like the changes they're going to make, and we haven't seen a lot of it.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. Even if you don't like, to me, it still looks way better than some of the mobile stuff they've done with these ports. But the thing is, why would you not at least talk about the fact that there's work going into this, whether or not it's for good or bad, there's work being put into this to actually, you know, I think the idea is to make the games consistent, so that the sprite artworks from 1 to 6 are kind of on the same level. And that's also why they're making, like, they're adding also stuff like mini-maps to dungeons, which is actually honestly a good improvement, especially in the early Final Fantasy games where the dungeons are just really hard to keep track of. And even changes to movement, like they've noticed that there's 8-way movement in Final Fantasy 4. So I like the fact that they're actually putting some work into this, and I think that I'm not going to automatically say I don't like some of the stuff they've changed. I really want to see more footage of it. But it's just weird, like, to announce it this way and not say anything about it. It's just like, why? Why would you do it that way? But so if anyone wondering what they are, this is at least more information about the fact that they are redrawing the sprite artworks. So.
Yeah, and anyone following on the YouTube video, you can see it, but just for the podcast, it's quite weird that they've done this. I'm just looking at it myself as well for the first time. So, like, you know, Final Fantasy VI is one of my favorite games of all time. And, it's really strange that they haven't, because those sprites look amazing. And they've actually redrawn them based more on the 2014 version of it, which, it just seems really weird to me. Like, I do kind of understand taking from the NES version and maybe trying to make it more like Final Fantasy VI. You know what I mean, Swinny?
Yeah, but we already had that with the Game Boy Advance versions. There's already good versions of those. Whether or not they're drawn at the resolution they need for these specific pixel remasters and the whatever engine they're making it in or whatever. But I mean, as I said, at least it's not as horrible as some of the stuff they've done in the past, like the Chrono Trigger port they put out on Steam. The
so
mobile
bad.
port. Like,
that is so hated on Steam, man.
They've done some really bad stuff with that. So hopefully it looks better than that so far, but we'll see whether or not, like, there could be some horrible redrawn backgrounds for battles, and just imagine what Doom Train looks like in this one, So
it's honestly a bit painful, and I just really hope they're going down the path of using the Octopath style now. I always forget, is it HD 2D or 2D HD?
I think it's 2D HD.
Yeah, the 2D HD.
I could be wrong. It's probably the other way.
I think it is the other way.
Don't correct me.
I think it's the other way. Like, whatever it's called, the Octopath Traveler style of mixing 2D and 3D.
3D, 2.5D HD.
Did you check it, or you're just saying that?
No, I just made it up. It's 2.5D
okay.
HD.
Okay. Anyway.
Because that's what it is.
That style of mixing the 2D, 3D lighting effects, I just hope that they do that with Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI, and then I'll be a happy man. Like, do this thing, make money on mobile. It's amazing that they're not releasing this on the Switch and PlayStation. Like, wow. People were so deflated when they saw that they're not releasing it on there.
For so long, I've been just like, oh my God, I want them to package the older games.
Yeah.
Or Xbox specifically, because there's versions of this that you can play on PlayStation, right? Not so much Switch.
It's pretty hard.
No, but there's versions out there, right? There's never been versions on Xbox, and they've now ported all the other ones across, and it's like, oh man. But yeah, it sucks that it's not going to be on consoles. It really does.
It's like, you do wonder if they're just releasing it first on PC and mobile, trying to make money there, and then release it on the consoles. Like, Square does do that kind of nasty stuff.
Yeah,
it's baffling. Like, it's really hard to understand Square sometimes. So yeah, that was another announcement that they had in their like Square Enix Presents, and then